to Talks with Kelvin A. Benson. And today we're going to be having on set with us Hyacinth from Cameroon. Hyacinth is going to be sharing with us some of his personal experience moving from being a professional, transitioning to entrepreneurship, and some of the mental health challenges that entrepreneurs normally face. As a professional, things are a lot more easier for you because you just wait until the month ends, then you just receive your pay. But when you're an entrepreneur, it's a totally different ball game, and most especially when you're not prepared and you just come in. And just like the research we shared with you guys, 75% of entrepreneurs experience mental health challenges. And most times there's no help available for them out there. So you have to kind of figure it out yourself. So yeah, you're going to be learning some key strategies from my sense, how he was able to, working himself to a top position in a firm in Dubai, and leaving that to start something here in his hometown to venture into entrepreneurship. How was it for him? What was the mental health experience? What was the challenges he experienced and how he overcame it? So those are some of the things we're going to be talking about here. So Hyacinth, please talk to us. And not to forget, not to mention, my co-host is here, Priska Anek from Uganda. She's going to be sharing also. So she's going to be moderating the conversation as we go. So much value for you. So I come to you. Please talk to us. Just tell us your story, how it started.
Hello, Sir Kevin. Hello, Priska, and every other person watching. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching us. And here I'm Hyacinth Tatang, and welcome on board with us. So, Sir Kevin, as you have requested, I didn't develop the love for entrepreneurship from a very young age. Like every young man, we grew up wanting to be something when we grow up. Some of us wanted to be doctors, some of us wanted to be entrepreneurs, some of us wanted to be pilots, and you know how it is with this life. Most of us never end up becoming these things because, of course, life happens. So my own story is quite interesting. I would say interesting because while I was growing up, I wanted to become an electrical engineer myself. I had this engineering. I had this love for electronics and anything that worked with batteries or electricity right from a very young age. So with that passion for electronics, that passion for anything that has an operating system, I I had to go through technical education, and throughout my years in school, throughout my time studying, I always desired to one day have a job with which I would just at the end of the month get a decent salary that could cover my expenses, a decent salary that could pay my house rent, pay for my feeding, and perhaps just a little bit more for miscellaneous. So, like it happened, my dreams came true. I would say my dreams came true because after graduation, I landed a job in Dubai. That was after also studying in Dubai for over 9 months. I finally landed a job as a maintenance electrician. And
Wait, you studied in Dubai? Like you studied in
yes, I did
Dubai?
study. Yes, I did study in Dubai. That was after leaving
Wow.
Cameroon. I studied in Dubai for over 9 months. I studied automation, PLC automation.
Mm.
That is how to automate, how to make an entire system operate on its own without
Okay.
human effort.
Mm.
So after studying that in Dubai, it added to my portfolio. You know, when I got there, it wasn't quite easy to get a job. It wasn't quite easy to get a job as a professional. So for me to have that CV that could even get the attention of the employer, I had to study there. I had to go through their own system of education and get some form of knowledge and papers that could permit me get even a license to operate as a technician there in the UAE. So long story short, I finally got a job working as an electrical maintenance electrician, and at that age, I would say that I was making pretty well. I was doing pretty fine. I was doing well at my age. I was I was earning roughly around 500,000 francs, and that amount of money to some people at my age, well, at that time, were
Mm.
like dream salaries. Some people could only dream to earn that much, and
Mm.
this experience and this amount of money that I was earning at the end of the month exceeded my it totally exceeded my expectation, because this money could not only pay for my expenses. I was also able to save some amount of money at the end of the month, which means that if I were to continue living the way I dreamt of, or the way I'd always desired, then I
Mm.
pretty much had no reason to think of getting into the field of entrepreneurship, or
Okay.
maybe leaving that job. So at that point of my life, I was doing really fine, and or most of my friends who were around me wanted to be like me. So it's so interesting how out of a sudden my life took an entire turn. My life took an
Mm.
entire turn to the worst. I would say to the
So
worst, because after that time,
let me ask now. So, having experiencing this, dream job, doing what you love, which is electrical engineering automation, and working with
yes.
probably the prominent firm in Dubai. What, like,
Mm.
Nigeria will say, wait till enter your mind. Like, what came to your mind?
I
Uh,
think he was trying to ask what exactly came to your mind, having got yourself in that place where you feel I am living a dream life of most of the youth, and within my age bracket.
okay. This whole journey started when I began having this feeling of unsatisfaction. Like I began feeling like there was more that I could do with my life than just
Okay.
waking up in the morning, going to
Mm.
work, then come back in
Mm.
the evening, and then repeat the same routine over and over. And before
Okay.
you know the month,
Mm.
before you know the month is over. So
Okay.
it was just that deep feeling of insa is it
You
unsatisfied?
wanted more. I mean, you
I
wanted
want
more.
Yes. It's not really about wanting more. It's not really about wanting more, because
Mm.
if I wanted more, I would have
Mm.
worked my way up the ladder, maybe
Okay.
get promoted in the job, in the company. Maybe with
Mm.
that, I'll be given more roles to play in the company, which would eventually increase my salary. But this was not the case. I didn't feel like
Okay.
I needed
Maybe.
more. I didn't feel like
Okay.
I needed it. Rather, I felt like there
Mm.
was more that I could be doing with my life, rather
And
than just doing the
something
same
you
thing.
had not done. That
Yes,
was, to
exactly.
me, if I can perceive what you're trying to say, what you're trying to say is that that was that thing that Hisense initially was born to do, that he felt he was not doing, you know?
Yes,
So to some
it's like
extent you feel I want to give birth to me. I want to come out of me. I want the real me to come out. Because if I'm to take you back, you started by saying that way back as a young boy, you felt you wanted to do business, right?
not exactly. As a matter of fact, I was really really scared of business, like anything that had to do with entrepreneurship, anything that had to do with me being able to determine how much I make at the end of the month, because it sounded really, really, really hectic to do. But then it was just this feeling of on this feeling of lost. Let me say lost, because I suddenly I felt like I wasn't doing the thing that I was meant to do with my life. I felt like I wasn't following the path that God had destined for me, and this feeling led me to attending events, attending trainings that taught people about purpose, events that enlighten people about what their God-given purposes were. So with all these trainings, these programs, and books that I read on purpose, I got to understand that I could be an electrical engineer, or an electrician, which I was, and still do and still do other things with my life.
discover myself more, to realize what is this thing that is missing in the inside of me that I'm not bringing out. Could that be the point?
That's right. That's right. I
Okay,
think
let's start from there.
it was from that point that I started,
Mm,
really, really studying intensively,
okay.
purposely to really understand myself, to
Mm,
understand the things to understand the things that gives me joy, understand the things that
oh,
give me a sense of satisfaction, and also
okay.
trying to understand the things that I can do that will not only
Mm,
satisfy me, but also contribute to
mm,
our community and our world.
mm,
So
okay.
all these all this led to me deciding to
Mm,
quit my job, to quit the job that was
wow.
a dream
Wow.
job for me. A couple of
Wow.
years from that time.
Okay. Wow. This
So
is just a minute. Ah, so, because of that, you had to quit your job.
yeah.
Okay.
Let me ask,
No,
when you were
if
quitting the job, like, did you ever thought of all the challenges you're going to face, like, try moving into the world of entrepreneurship? Like, do you ever took time to, like, thought, okay, do you know what? Like I was saying now, you just woke up one and you, do you know what? I'm tired. Let me transition.
Mm,
So were
mm,
you
mm.
expecting the challenges you experienced, or you just like entered and you just find yourself there?
well, I think at that point in my life, that
Mm,
that part that part of my brain, that part of my brain that that part of my brain that could even think of anything going bad with me taking that decision was totally
Mm.
switched
mm.
off, because
Okay.
all I could see was how good my life would become if I leave that job and leave that environment.
Mm,
If I if I
I
can
think
let
I think something must have inspired that. Like, were there things you were seeing, in the world of entrepreneurship, like made you thought like, okay, nothing could go wrong, and probably if anything could go wrong, I know I can fix it. You must have been seeing some pictures. Like, were you being influenced at some point?
exactly. Yes, yes. I think at that point in my life, there were a couple of friends, a couple of people that I really, really admired, which
okay.
I believed that if I could just maybe associate with them or just learn the things that they know, I will be
Mm,
I will be a superman. And
wow.
these friends obviously were not employees. These friends were not working for somebody. They were not people who would wake up in the morning, go and sit somewhere or do some specific things on a daily basis and then get paid at the end of the month. These were people who
Mm,
were free to do the things that they want to do and whenever they wanted to do. So it
mm,
really, really, really motivated me to taking that decision. And
mm,
well, I didn't just blindly take that decision. Actually, I did consulted a quite number of people. I consulted a number of uncles and family members and even a couple of friends and
mm.
coaches. But surprisingly, none of these people gave me a yes. None of these people actually advised me to leave my job and come back to Cameroon.
Mm,
So everybody was in shock when they learned that I was in Cameroon and I was not going back. So it was just like moving against the odds, like just moving against the wind and hoping that everything is
okay.
going to be okay.
Wow.
So what
Okay.
did you now, like, what were some of the things you started? Did you already have a business plan in mind while you were coming, or you were like, okay, I'm gonna come, then I'll just figure things out? Like, did you have a business plan? Were there anything in place while you were coming?
Yes, before coming back to Cameroon, I had done quite a couple of investments. I did a couple of investments and I was getting some return on investment, which gave me more hope or more belief that everything was going to be fine when I get back home. I had also just within that period joined a network marketing company, and I was
Mm.
hoping that when I get back home, I was going to focus with that and everything will be okay. And then eventually I do the thing that I supposed to do with my life.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Like,
Wow.
before coming back
so
home,
like,
I
when
had
did you
something.
now, being that you've already made investment, right? Being that you've already made investment and you had a plan before coming, at what point did because the last conversation we had, you told me that, or you mentioned that things got so bad to the point that you were sleeping in the floor of your of the company you were working with, like the and nobody was aware about it. So at at what point did you get to that point, and did you start having regrets, and what were the things you started doing when you started having certain experiences like that?
Well, so Cap, I wouldn't say that there was ever a point in my life where I had any sense of regret. Even right to this moment,
Mm.
I don't regret any of the of my actions in the past that has led to the person that I am today. But then, like just like life is, you can plan and plan and plan, and your 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 plan is not going to determine how life is going to happen. There are things that we can control, and there are things that are beyond our control. And
Mm.
in my situation, I lost everything out of a sudden. I lost everything
Wow.
that I invested in these companies before coming back to Cameroon. And
Mm.
shockingly, these whole losses happened in 1 year. So you can imagine how disastrous this was. I came back to Cameroon in 2021, and
Mm.
in 2022, all of these investments that are done disappeared. I was left
Mm.
with just that network marketing, which I was no longer interested in. I lost the interest of doing that network marketing. And
What was your state of mind like when you started losing everything? What was the state of your mind like? What was going through you like? What was the experience like?
fear, definitely, the fear of the unknown, fear of not being able to pay my rent, fear of not being able to feed myself, and the other responsibilities that I have. No, I was so gripped with fear that there was one time that I could not even think of any other thing that I could do.
Mm.
There was one time that I felt like I was lost. In short, it was after quite a couple of months that I began asking myself that, but why am I letting myself go through all this depression and sadness when I have so many skills?
Mm.
So at that point in my life, I felt like my brain had been formatted. You know, having to think of how much money I lost, money that I
Mm.
worked for so many years, saving them, and just at the point
Mm.
when I saw that my life was in doubt, and I was, becoming really happy with how far I've gone. Everything just
Mm.
disappeared. It's like someone just shut the door and said, "Big man, you have to start all over again. And this time you're going to do it the right way."
It's
So,
amazing, and this is one of the reasons why, right? It's important
mm,
for, as a professional, when you transition into the world of entrepreneurship, not just as a professional but also as an entrepreneur, you having a sound financial plan is extremely valuable. And I want to believe that at that point when you were making those decisions, you didn't consult a financial planner, neither do you have a very sound financial plan. Am I correct?
you are right.
Like, just like the way your experience now, you lost everything in 1 year, things you've worked your whole life for.
Mm.
What will you now do at that point when you lose everything? That's a plan Z, 0% worst case scenario kind of plan. So now I want to ask you now, how did you said fear gripped you, and that fear made you not to be able to think straight, which is now leads to depression, you becoming inactive, unable to do a lot of things. Fear makes you look as even the thing you can do is impossible for you to do. Like, you cannot even see beyond that present moment. How did you overcome that fear? And like you say you had many gifts. How did you? At what point did you say, okay, do you know what? I think I'm done. And how did you overcome that? And how did you move on?
Uh, during that time. during that time, I usually refer to this time as my own 9/11. If you know the story behind 9/11, I usually refer to this to this point in my life as my own 9/11. It got really really bad that I
Mm.
I could no longer pay my rent. I had to
Oh.
move out. I had to move out from the house where I was living, and because my office because the office space I was using at that time wasn't really big to contain everything that was in my house. I had to give
Mm.
out. I had to give out my property. I had to give out my property, and it got to the extent where to for me to make some extra cash, I had to even rent my bed. I had to rent
Wow.
my bed.
That
Uh,
happens in Cameroon?
yes, it happened in Cameroon. I rented my bed to a
Really?
friend for 3 months,
Okay.
and I sold a couple of things. Uh,
Mm.
I sold a couple of things, used the money to get to some other venture, which eventually did not work. It got so bad that I rented out my bed. I was I was
Okay.
I was I was basically living on at most 500 francs a day. I don't
Wow.
know the value compared to your own currency there, but it's 500 francs CFA here in Cameroon. That was my maximum figure for a day. So if I had 10,000 francs, I would partition it according to the days. I have this for this day, I have this for this day, and so on. So within that period, one thing that I did that was really, really, really different from what other people did, what other people do when they are in a similar situation is I was reading quite a lot. I was reading and watching documentaries, following people online who were doing well in the field in entrepreneurship. And I came across a video one day, just while I was walking and just listening to this man. I heard him did mention that if you want to get out of a financial situation, if you want to bounce back from such a situation, the best thing would be to sell something. The best thing would be to sell something and then not get a job. So when I listened to that, it actually made me begin to ask myself a lot of questions like, what is it that I have that I can sell? Are they tangible? Are they intangible? No, I came up with a list. I came up with the tangible things that I had that I could sell, most of which were personal property. Secondly was the intangible. Now this got me to the area of my skills. It got me really surprised that I had so many skills that I could monetize, skills that were high in demand in the area where I was. But throughout that whole time, I had never think about it. I had never think that I could, do something with my hands and with
Mm.
the knowledge that I had to make money. So going back again to the books, I started jotting out those intangible skills. Then I had graphic designing, I had electrical works, I had electronic repairs, I had hardware, software maintenances, I had quite a lot of things. I had quite a lot of things, and then I began sorting them down again. How am I going to
Mm.
make money from graphic designing? How am I going to make money from hardware and software maintenance? How am I going to make money from
Mm.
this? And then before I knew it, I started making money from graphic design. And this was not a little amount of money. I just woke
Mm.
up one day. I used my phone, design a poster about graphic designer, about discount and so on. I posted. I had a little bit of knowledge about business, so I knew
Mm.
the words to use that would captivate clients. So I understood
Yeah.
that using words like discount, 10% off, 20% off will definitely get the attention of people who needed that service. So
Mm.
I began advertising my graphic design service, and before I knew it, I was making money from graphic designing. I had quite a number
Wow.
of people who gave me contracts to do them graphic
Mm,
designing on a contract base. So I would just
mm,
wake up in the morning. I know that this person needs graphic design on this, on this, on that, and I will just work on them, send, and they will send my money. So
mm,
I started studying graphic designing, and a few months later, someone approached me and offered
mm.
me a job, offered me a job to work as a full-time graphic designer for his company. That was just how I transitioned from being broke, laying on the floor of our office and being depressed to actually getting back up on my feet. Now,
That's 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 incredibly that's incredibly exciting experience because an incredible
okay,
experience rather. You know, being at the top, then coming down to zero,
coming back
then
down,
building back up, then building back up. And the difference
yeah,
was just the fact that you like first you didn't let fear to control you. Second,
exactly,
you were a lot of us when we get ourselves in that position, we don't in fact everything becomes a scam. We don't listen to anybody, we don't take counseling. And in Africa, we are not used to a lot of all this counseling, go for therapy and all that. But you're able to give yourself self-therapy by watching this documentary, reading this book, so kind of
Mm.
elevating your spirit. And with that, and I think the determining one of the most interesting facts is that okay, you come to that point where do you know what? I have certain skill and I just need to monetize this skill. And you did that. So now I think with that, I want to ask because
Based on what he has said, I think this brings us to the importance of um, how should I say, the master, you like mastering the business of your skill. You know,
yes. Mm-hmm.
yes, this brings us to that because if we are to realize that how he was able to rise back, you know, after
Mm-hmm.
that serious fall, then he was able to rise up and then come back to the top again. We realize that he did not look at going back to get a job. Getting a job was not his focus. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, most times we believe that for you to make it in life, for you to be successful in life, you really have to have a job, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
this also reminds me of one of the flyers that you're sending around that says that that job that you have will not, I think it will not make you richer or something.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Yeah, your job might not, your degree might not guarantee you a job, but your passion can.
Uh-huh.
You can earn from your passion. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
uh-huh. So we realize that the way forward is actually not about having a job, you know, but the mentality that you have is what will make you to have the money that you want. Because if we are to realize that at one point he was broken down, he was a little depressed, but because he decided to put on a different attitude, an attitude of because several times we fall down, you know, we many of us
Mm-hmm.
have fallen several times, but it's not that many rise up. So we realize that for him, it was not about him falling down and staying down there, but he made up his mind, sorry, to move out of that place. How? By not looking for a job, but using his skill to give him the advantage. And right now, I'm not sure if he even wrote an application letter, but somebody just told him, come and, you know.
You are, yeah, yeah.
no,
So
let me
That's it.
personally,
let me say
Yeah.
some let me quickly say something. No,
mm,
when I left Dubai, I had skills.
mm,
When I came back
mm,
to Cameroon, I had these skills. Even while I was going through all the things I went through, I still had these skills.
mm.
And these skills
Yes.
were evident. These skills were evident in the ways that I lived my life. People knew that I could do this, I could do that, and I could do all the things that I can do. but
mm,
I knew what I wanted.
mm,
There was actually a time when someone approached me, someone whom I did not even know. This person just copied my number from Facebook, called me
mm,
and said he wants to offer me a job, and that
mm,
he's not calling me for an interview because God has confirmed it. He has actually prayed about it, and God has confirmed that it is me that he needs
Mm.
for that position in his business. But that was not what I wanted. And
mm,
surprisingly, within this period when this man got to me, I was
mm,
not making any money. I was not making any money. I had lost the
mm,
investment that I had already. I
mm,
was going through I was going through financial difficulties, but I did not accept this job. I
Isn't
did not
the
accept this
mm,
because
job because I felt like well, this job could be is scaffolding without a foundation.
yeah.
I
mm,
could I could be climbing on a ladder that has no firm holding on the ground, and eventually I'll fall back down
To the same
and start
place.
all over again. So I
So
was
you are,
even though I was broke, I was also being very cautious about the kind of opportunities that presented themselves to me.
this I get to ask you, like, what would be your advice to somebody that is right now, is somebody out there right now that is thinking about, okay, do you know what? I love the Lamborghini, I love all the, let's say, all the Gucci and these guys. Man, all these entrepreneurs have a lot of money. They're just living freedom, living their life. What would be your advice? See that you've gone through their experience. What would be your advice to somebody like that?
Well, Sakab, in very very simple terms, I would say that entrepreneurship, for my experience, is about creating value.
mm,
Entrepreneurship is about creating value, and how much money you are going to make as an entrepreneur is
Mm,
determined by two factors. Two factors that can be
mm,
broken down to uh, 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 to so many other things. Now, these two
mm,
factors basically are: one, the effectiveness of the product that you produce,
mm,
the effectiveness of the solution that you are creating to a
mm,
problem, and then secondly, the demand for that solution.
mm,
It's not just enough to have something. You have if people do not need that thing, you are not going to make money from
mm.
it.
make money from it.
Yes,
So it's just like I used to say, so entrepreneurship is about creating value and you figuring how to make money from the value you've created, right?
exactly.
Mm. With what Hyacinth has said, I picked out something that number one, for you to be an effective entrepreneur, creativity is very, very important. And then after being that creative, you have to have something that is of value, because it's the value that you have that is going to attract the money that you want. And then on top of that, you have to give people what they need. It's not about having that skill, not about having that product or that whatever thing that you want to offer the people, but you have to make sure that it is needed by the people that you're offering it to. If that thing is needed by the people that you're offering it to, that is when it's going to attract the money that you want. And then also I would love to take us a little back, whereby he talked of, to me, having a positive mindset is very important. Even in the
Exactly.
place of, amidst that depression, of course, we cannot say that he was 100% depressed, but at least at one point whereby he had that depression and that kind of a mental kind of disturbance, what pulled him out of that thing was the kind of mindset that he had. And this kind of mindset did not come just because he had it, but he was exposed also to the right materials. Because according to him, whatever brought him out of that place was as a result of a message that he listened to at one point. So to anybody who is out there and watching us right now, I believe as an institute, we have products that anybody else can also subscribe to. Everyone else at one point is going through depression in one way or the other. At least there is some disorder that you might be having. But with the right mindset, the right company, and the right people around you, and Sir Kelvin talked about therapy, all those things, you know, all those things are going to help you to become that person. So just remember to also subscribe to our products that will help you to master the skill that you have. As you can see, Hyacinth is a product of somebody who mastered the skill that they have. I think that's all I can say for now.